better balance, better you. So everyone's busy in this world, right? We're all moving and shaking. We've got our hierarchy of things that need to happen. We have work, we've got family. I have 4 kids. I'm 40, 4 kids, 13 to 7, 3 boys and a girl. My oldest just turned 13, so he's rearing that teenage angst really well for my wife and I to manage and stuff. So life gets super busy, and I'm balancing my work schedule as well. So let's break out what finding a better life balance, work balance, and all that actually looks like. So today's agenda, we're going to go over the overview of it all: productivity, time management, multitasking, overworking, and setting priorities. And hopefully we'll leave here with some good, strong actions for you to take notes on and start implementing into your everyday. So, all right. We definitely know life is busy. There's work, family, friends, all these appointments that are filling up your calendar. And one of the things that we absolutely know is that as day goes on, usually responsibility starts stacking. So whatever you plan for yourself to do it like after work hours probably is going to get swallowed up. I have a lot of after school activities that all of a sudden claim my time, or bedtime. We always read stories before, so that takes 30 minutes or so as well, getting them to what seems like an endless bedtime. So from getting up at 6:30 all the way till about 9:15 is got some work, family stuff just for me, and I even have calls after that. I had a call that lasted until about 10 p.m. last night with someone down in Tampa. So. But what we do have order of is to be able to prioritize and find what's the hierarchy on what is going to make you more successful in addressing these responsibilities as they are. So we're going to be constantly looking at better time management and being productive. I imagine that's super important in your business, is being productive with your time. So ultimately you have better productivity as a result and better outcomes for your company and your business and each individual employee is taking action. And ultimately, the system works. It's smooth and it's a lot less stress to manage. All right, so common themes. We need to plan in advance, right? What gets scheduled gets done. So if you have it blocked off and everyone respects each other's schedules, which I hope is the case, then you can prioritize what works best, and nothing's worse than getting interrupted when you're on an important task, only to get you thrown off for 10, 15 minutes, and then you have to get back into it. We want to prioritize health. That's where I meet a lot of people, is that they have not been prioritizing their health, and they get the last person I hired was from Washington, D.C. She is trending toward pre-diabetic, cholesterol's out of control, overweight for a long time, and now all of a sudden it just like hits her in the face. So she hasn't been prioritizing her health and doing other things and staying busy that way. So, but if we know that you prioritize your health, you'll have better energy, you'll be more focused, you'll be more productive, and you'll be just happier to be around with your other teammates. Being present and focused. Most importantly, like right now is the important time of where you are in life, right? Just right now. We all live in the present, and so it's important to make sure that we're staying focused on what's in the here and now. Avoiding things that hurt rather than help. So multitasking, we all want to do it, but we're not very good at it. There's lots of studies that show there's simple things that we can multitask, but when it starts to get into higher complexity, it's just better to block off your time and manage that. And then constantly measuring and assessing yourself. So productivity. Accomplishing more with less, right? This is basically any company's bottom line, right? How can we get as much work and productivity out of our company, our workforce, the people, the systems, the software that we're using to get greater results for yourself? So productivity, quantity, quality, output, relationship, and the resources that are used to produce them. Higher productivity obviously means that you're accomplishing more with the same or less resources. Time, energy, money. You're able to put up a lot more volume, high quality volume, for the same amount of input that was happening before. So that's something that everyone's managing in their everyday. Now, the benefits of being productive. Greater output, of course. We know that when you're managing your time, then productivity and output is better. So you're less distracted. You're able to focus a lot more on what's important and accomplish tasks in a timely manner and just not use a lot of resources, even most importantly, time. You feel obviously more accomplished. So achieving more and being productive. Hopefully you guys do shout outs for productive team members and what they're doing. Most companies do. So I imagine you guys would fall right into that. And it's important to show the props so that everyone feels good about the work that they're doing. We're big Ted Lasso fans here at the Piranha House, and Ted Lasso's coming out tonight, and he really focuses a lot on productivity and accomplishment and giving props to people. What a fun show to demonstrate some of that. Now, we're also being more productive means less stress. So you stay on task more and your responsibilities can grow while you're able to accomplish those. So people trust and believe that you actually can do the things you said you're going to do or accomplish the tasks that people are giving to you. So your to-do list can be more concise and hopefully more specified so that you get higher quality work and ultimately even more opportunities for an individual person or a company as a whole. And then less burnout. Efficiency always improves on that. So if everyone as a whole is productive, the company's doing well, there's a lot of accomplishment, a lot of high fives, and everyone seems to be managing their time really well, then obviously burnout is less. Burnout will definitely cost time, energy, effort, money. I'm only a an entrepreneur, single solo person. So, but like big business, like the really big one, like say the Silicon Valley Bank stuff that you're talking about, how much money is being spent to manage inefficiency, which is ultimately left to their breakdown. And whoever else wants to talk about whatever else was going on too with the sell-offs and stuff that you guys are mentioning, that's suspect to say the least. But I digress. So life hacks for greater productivity. Obviously, we know these things, so I'm not going to be too redundant here, but creating a schedule and sticking to it, blocking off your time, making sure you're allocating enough time to then do what is needed and necessary, whether it is, of course, work or home stuff, general life stuff, like even going to the dentist and not getting that constantly scheduled over, which can happen pretty quick because all of a sudden every 6-month checkup can easily turn into a year or more because going to the dentist is, sure, it's important, but it's not a high priority. And then all of a sudden you have cavities and things go bad for your teeth and that smile of yours. So we definitely want to limit distractions. My phone is pretty silent. There's very few dings and whistles and stuff that comes through it. It doesn't even light up anymore because I've had the anxiety of answering to my phone at every whim and ding and vibrate or whatever in years past, and I just choose not to do it. So I have a lot less distraction from that. Or even, again, if someone were to pop into your office and you're working on an important project, be like, hey, let's pin this for 1 o'clock. Let's go schedule it for a time that'll be more open and available to handle your current issue. Easy way to not say no, but you push it to a time that you both can come together and talk about whatever that task was. Of course, sleep 7 to 9 hours. If you're under 6, in general, you're going to be dragging in a lot of areas of life. So your productivity is just really going to not be very good. Your focus, brain fog, reliance on stimulants like caffeine and such are just going to be highly present in your life because you're not getting a restful amount of sleep. Keeping it clean. Clutter really does block up the mind. So if your workspace has a lot going on, or even your home space or your bedroom space or places that you deem important, the kitchen table, if it's just stacking stuff on it that's just not relevant to even be there or has a space, or just junk mail in a sense could be piling up on your countertop, that's going to block ability to be just free and more productive. And of course, eating healthy. So that's one of the kind of my bread and butter at the moment is practicing nutritionists and helping people align with what's an appropriate amount of calories to fuel their goals, their needs, their wants of their body, but also having balance, a whole food type approach that's just healthy so that they have energy, they're more productive, and they feel just literally better from it. All right, so we have time management. This is probably one of the most beneficial things that anyone on this webinar can do. Regardless of how busy you are, that's a term that I get thrown at me from every single person that I've ever worked with across my 20-year career now. And everyone's busy. They're all doing things, but we all have 24 hours, as they say, and those who manage it well are way more productive and live life a lot more to the full extent. So making the most of what you have. So here's some average times of what people spend. So currently, full-time employee works about 8.5 hours or so. You get about 5 to 6 hours of day work on the weekends. So if someone's a go-getter at work or they're a salary position, they may feel compelled to work on the weekend and get more work done. That could be good or bad, just depends on how you see it or what the important task is. Or maybe you didn't use your time wisely during the week, which then costs you to end up working overtime on the weekend when you should have some time to relax and check out. Leisure time. So this is where things can start to get out of control with how you spend your time, watching TV, looking at your phone, going through the social medias. So upwards of 2.5, 3 hours a day of some sort of a screen or TV, about 30 to 40 minutes of friends, family activity is what comprises a lot of the day. And then, of course, mobile time is increasingly on the rise every single year that we have the iPhone or whatever other phone too. So, all right. So where do you spend your time? I want you to take a quick time out and think about how busy are you and how do you actually spend the time? Is it actually productive? Are you managing well? Or are you really just kind of procrastinating and putting things off and really not getting the outputs, the staying on task to what's important in your everyday life? So if we can start keeping track of this, then you can really understand what your day is looking like and where that time goes. Certainly on the iPhone has screen time, an app, or it's in the general settings. The screen time is a functionality of monitoring your overall activity. So you can turn that on for different notifications or awareness of where you're spending your time on your device. So if we see it, I spend a lot of time on the phone or in text messages because I work from my phone. So I'm constantly talking to people all day or answering text messages in between phone calls to help people stay on track. Now, so we want to use the schedule for the big events and then make sure that we have other times available for appropriate things like just relaxing, that you are allowed to relax and have some time to do so. Evaluate what it is that you find. How distracted are you during certain tasks? How are you allocating your time appropriately to do certain tasks? Are you always running out of time and rushing or feeling stressed because of that or not? Do you find yourself wasting a lot of time procrastinating or just putting stuff off or taking longer than it's necessary to say like clean the house? Or are you doing tasks that you shouldn't be doing, like say cleaning the house? That might be a great way to hire cleaning service to free up some of your time to go do more fun, enjoyable, productive things. So a life hack. We want to be reasonable with how you manage your time and your overall productivity. So we are constantly trying to be patient with time management. That is a skill that takes a lot of time to develop. Where just because you put something on the schedule doesn't mean that you're going to operate by your schedule, but it is really important to understand that if you put it on the schedule, you deemed it important. Just like if you deemed waking up at a certain time, it's important that you don't hit the snooze button. The snooze button is just delaying, procrastinating, getting to start a day. And yet you're going back on a decision that you already made for yourself, stating that this time is important for me to get up and get my day started. And then you delay that decision by 9 minutes or more, and then you become just unproductive from the get-go. We want to set realistic deadlines. Of course, you need to make sure you have adequate amount of time, and also do understand this, that the amount of time that we allow ourselves to complete a deadline is the amount of time that you will get it done in. Say my teenager, if he has a book report due in 3 weeks, it's going to take him all 3 weeks to do it. If it's due on Monday through this weekend, he's going to get it done by Monday. Could be this exact same report, book report, but the deadlines are different and his intensity and focus are going to change and get it done appropriately. Whereas we all know if you have 3 weeks to do something, you're still going to do it in the last 2 days just because that's how it is with just general human behavior, unless you're on your game with productivity and you've done a little bit each and every day. So you get to that final stretch and just kind of, crossing some T's or dotting an I, but spell check would have done that for you. So you're even easier and you're done a lot sooner and it wasn't so hard. Lastly, we always want to celebrate victories. One of the big things I do with my clients on the second phone call and there on out, I always start off with successes, make sure that we understand what is going well. We're giving high fives and celebrating their level of progress and their focus on making the progress happen. Habits, lifestyle changes, behavior changes, different choices. In the last 7 days, they would have had made 1,000+ decisions, and ideally, I want a lot of them to trend better than what they were trending the week before, which will mean that we have more progress over time. So, to making a to-do list, one of my favorite ways is just take a piece of scrap paper and you write it down on that. And I used to do that for years, and I leave scrap papers all over the table, the countertop, my bedroom, dresser. My wife loved it. She just was just absolutely loved all that extra clutter and notes and scrap paper all over the place. But what doing a to-do list really does is it frees you up. Like, you don't have to keep thinking about what needs done. It's already written down. It's out of your mind. So then it can be more action oriented. It keeps you with less anxiety around it or less distractions about constantly thinking about it. If you need to do this one thing, then let's get it out on paper and not have it just running this loop in your mind, taking up and occupying space. That's not good. So it ultimately clears out the noise that's in your head and allows your mind to do more important tasks to focus on that are more interesting in your everyday life than like taking out the trash on Tuesday night, which I did not do because it was like 15, 20 degrees, and where I got to take my trash out is like way far down. So I ended up doing this morning. So I pushed it off, even though I had an alarm go off at 10 o'clock and I chose to turn it off. So, but I still got the trash out. It was done this morning instead. Wasn't too inconvenient, but you get my gist of how putting stuff off can then just start stacking up. Because if I didn't get it out, then all of a sudden my trash is overflowing. There's 6 of us in the house, so it doesn't take us too long to start filling that thing up, and all of a sudden there's trash overflowing. My dog's trying to get into it. Now I have more stuff to clean up, and you see how much of a headache it could be because I decided not to take my trash out on a cold Tuesday night. Or I could have just taken it out earlier in the day when there was still sunlight out. What this does ultimately, the to-do list, is allows you to plan out your day, your week, and prioritizing what's most important to you. Take advantage of idle time. This is what I would consider net time. No extra time. When in the day does it make sense for you to do things, or like maybe multitask, doing the dishes and listening to something, or watching? Maybe that could be a great time to have your Netflix time when you're doing dishes or folding laundry or doing some of these day-to-day type things that don't require a lot, but you can still keep that more entertaining and then free up the time later when you're not actually have your hands full of something and you can actually do something else. So whether you're commuting or have a break at lunch or throughout the day, what are you doing? How do you respond to people? How do you engage with them via text or emails, or even taking some quiet time and creating some space for yourself to just be at ease, be at rest and relax. So So let's chat. I'd love some interaction, especially since I can see you. So usually on these, I don't see people. But what are some of the other activities that you do with your idle time? Who wants to go first? I need at least one of you. Chris is going to be like, hey, you didn't get anyone to talk. Go ahead.
I go for some long walks with my dog.
Yes.
It gets me up, it gets me out. And it's pretty routine. I have my schedule every morning at 7.
Excellent.
Make sure I get a mile and a half.
Excellent.
And hope to get 1 or 2 during the day. And if it doesn't happen, at least I know
You got their morning one. Yep. Excellent. I walk my dog with my wife. Usually, I know she wants to talk to me. So if I can get my steps in too, then why not? And walk the dog.
It's too cold. She doesn't come out with me.
Right. Hopefully, as it warms up. I'm near Cleveland, Ohio, so we got snow yesterday, and that definitely kept us not walking. It was actively blizzard-like snowing, so we're like, maybe we don't walk today. But it's sunny out. It's going to be 40 today. Today's a walking day. Anyone else want to share?
Sure. Carol, I read every night before going to sleep.
Wonderful. Excellent. Wonderful placement, too. Easy way to stay away from screens in that final time of your day and do something fun and enjoyable. Hopefully, it's something that's fiction and kind of takes you into a fantasy land, and you can really enjoy that. I've been reading the book of the Secret Series book with my daughter, and I'm not sure if I'm putting her to sleep or I'm putting myself to sleep because I'm quiet, slowing down, I'm focused on something singular, and it is a good story, but by 9, 10 o'clock, I'm usually tired. So, and then lastly, I'll kind of say this for yourself, for everyone, is that why are these activities, this spending, like reading or walking the dog or you working out or even having some controlled screen time, it's going to be better for your overall health, right? So you're going to have better energy. You're going to just be a more happy person to be around. So as long as your book, Carol, doesn't keep you reading extra chapters and all of a sudden it's after midnight because you couldn't put the book down and now you're sleepy for the next day.
We won't talk about that.
Right, exactly. Well, we're going to continue on. There's another, I think there's one more chat break there that, or at the end, I definitely will look for some other ideas of what you guys are doing for some of your time or productivity and just finding that better balance. So huge, the lunch break. If you are constantly scheduling over your lunch break, why? It's okay to take a break. Humans can't just be all on all the time. It's, as it says, it's unsustainable. So if there's a break in the day, you will literally, just eating foods, right? When we eat food, we get energy. When we move on a lunch break walk, movement is energy. You're going to get your blood flowing and then all of a sudden, like your mind comes back and you're thinking a lot better, more clearly, and you'll be more productive instead of hitting that 3 p.m. slump and there's not a lot happening and everyone's ready to kind of pack things up an hour or two early if they could because they're just fatigued, tired, and ready to take a nap. So we go. 20% of American workers worry their bosses won't think they're hardworking if they take a lunch break. So hopefully that's not the case in your culture at work and that you guys have a really fun, enjoyable work balance at there and it's works really well for you. Taking breaks, like I said, increases your productivity, your mental outlook. You just feel better. You can be more creative. You can't do something for 4 hours in a row and expect to have like that gem thought. It just doesn't work. And even when you look at the hierarchy of a company, the people higher up should have more time to think, to be the visionaries, to look at the bigger picture and to create ideas and understanding and workflow and guidance. So they actually literally need more time to make sure that the ship is steered in the right direction and they are on course to being overall productive. Multitasking. So again, Wellable is always going to tell you, do not multitask. I would agree with that, even though I personally try to do it sometimes as well. Don't we all, right? Doing too many things at once doesn't necessarily equal higher productivity, right? The quality diminishes as the quantity of tasks that you are doing. So just like trying to do 2 or 3 things while I try to grill chicken on the grill, doesn't go well for the chicken, nor does it go well for me afterwards, because my wife isn't going to let me throw it away because I overly cooked it because I wasn't paying attention. So we don't want to multitask. I have found the trick to cooking delicious, juicy chicken breasts on the grill. You just set a timer. You ask Siri to do it and say 5 minutes on one side, 4 minutes on the other. It turns out pretty darn good, pretty juicy once it's done. So. And lastly here, I want to point out, like, shifting from one task to another isn't very ideal either. There's a higher lack of focus and overall outcome of being productive, because every time you stop one thing, you have to kind of rev up the engine to go do the other thing as well. So shifting back and forth just isn't ideal either. So if you're going to do emails, do emails. If you're going to do this one work project, do the one work project. If you can go talk to someone, go talk to someone and get whatever the resolution is for that. So how to prevent multitasking? Obviously, we want to make a list, more lists, right? My wife would love more scrap papers running around my house, let alone from all the ones that show up from all my kids. They're in middle school through elementary, so there's always, and the 3 older boys, they go to a visual arts and performance school. So there's always crafts and always extra things coming home with them. So we want to prioritize what's important. I heard this was way long ago in my overall development as an entrepreneur and a solo business person here. It was the one story about why was this business owner, this entrepreneur guy so successful? Well, every night before bed, he would write down the 3 most important tasks that he needed to do the next day. So when this question was asked to him by someone talking about his level of success and how to match it, he pulls out this giant chunk of index cards that had 3 things written on it. And the goal was get those 3 things done before anything else. Those are of highest priority. Everything else can get pushed. And like getting up and walking the dog at 7 a.m., you know it's going to get done because it's playing into your day at a time when there's less people calling for your attention, because we already said as the day grows, so does your responsibilities. They stack on top of each other. So getting a second walk in the day might not work for you, as an example. Again, we're going to piggyback limiting the distractions and then bookmarking it. So when you're wrapping up the shift into something else, you need to make some really tight notes on where you're at and what's going on in that particular moment so you can reread them and jump right back into the process. That's going to be a great way to bookmark that task and make sure that you can effectively get in it and doesn't take this ramp up time of reading through wherever you were before. So overworking, sometimes less is more, right? Again, humans can only do so much. They can only produce so much without having rest, relaxation, time to check out, time to de-stress. That's just the type of creature we are on this planet. So more work, again, doesn't necessarily equal higher productivity. Failing to take regular breaks. Like you said, who would love to see a hand if anyone would be like, yeah, like at 4 hours and 23 minutes into a singular work task, that's when I just catch on fire, right? Spend all morning on this thing, and then if I took that lunch break, I'm going to lose all momentum, right? That's never what anyone ever says and stuff. So being able to manage the work and take breaks to alleviate stress, burnout, exhaustion, and even like your posture. Hopefully you guys went through ergonomics. I think I'm doing ergonomics tomorrow for someone. Maybe it's you guys. I got to look who's on the schedule. But ergonomics is incredibly important. Like right now I'm standing. I love standing. I'm not regularly working on a laptop, but if I was working on a laptop, I would be standing. If I had a monitor deal thing, I would figure out a way to put it on a wall or elevate it or whatever. I would want to be standing so I can at least move and bend and stay upright. I'm shifting my feet one side to another as I talk with you. I just feel a lot more alert, more productive, and more energy to deliver rather than sitting down in this rounded position, trying not to feel tight back and restraint. Now, also play this out. Being a personal trainer for like 15 years and working in gyms for a long part of my life, clients would come in, they'd unfortunately be out of shape, overweight, just not in the overall best health. And we start doing things like push-ups and whatnot, and all of a sudden the shoulders are hurting. Why? Because they spent like 15 years like this in a chair typing and rounded shoulders forward. So all of a sudden, like, okay, well, we can't do a lot of pushing, like push-up type stuff. We have to do a lot more corrective activity. So we need a lot more posture awareness and alignment and more back exercise work to work the upper back, the lower back, the traps. So this person can literally just get their shoulders from this rolled forward position back, tall, upright chest. One of the gurus, good old Tony Robbins, I was a fire walker. I went to two of his seminars, but I want everyone right now to sit an extra inch taller, just kind of get a little bit more. Everyone just get up there a little bit, stretch, and get the head up. You would be lying if you didn't feel better or you didn't feel like more commanding or more authority or more energy or just better from shifting into a higher, stronger position for the body. So that's the importance of posture. So if you aren't doing posture, you tend to slouch or you just don't have good ergonomics, call up HR and start figuring out better work ergonomics for yourself as well so that the body stays in a really good framework for energy and all. Signs you need a break: headache, dizziness, achiness, my neck hurts. You've been staring at the screen so long you can't see the words on the screen anymore. You find yourself wandering, you're staring outside. If you're lucky to have some glass by you, you just kind of get yourself staring at the blue sky. It is sunny and blue outside, so I could easily stare off and look at that sun outside and dream about the walk that I'm going to take with my wife, whether it's either going to be after we're done or it's going to be around 2. Time will tell based on how my schedule goes. I got about 8 more people to talk to today. I'm playing Jenga with the schedule a little bit to try and fit in that walk with her so I can talk with her, spend time with her, and move my body and move my dog's body. So he's a 100-pound Newfoundland. He's like a year old. This guy, as soon as you get enough movement in him, then he's pretty chill for quite a while. So we try and take him pretty regularly so that he's not like creating mischief when all the kids come home from school, right? So there's already enough transition happen around 4 p.m. and then we don't need the dog wandering around trying to disrupt the cats or try and eat things, dinner preparation or something. That's a lot. And ultimately, when it all comes down to something that is causing you a lack of focus, that's a sure sign that you need a break. If you skip through your lunch and you're getting some of these symptoms at 2 p.m., clear sign to me. If you were working with me, I'd be like, so why did you skip lunch again? So that you could feel horrible in the middle of the afternoon and then just want to eat everything that you could when you get home? Probably not the best idea all of a sudden because you're trying to squeeze out some more work productivity. So is anyone feeling those signs and symptoms? You think about it. Do you feel some of these things on a regular basis? If so, you need to address it. You can't just keep showing up at work and trying to fake it till you make it through a headache or just not feeling great because your productivity will show and it's not going to create that really nice family work environment if you're always constantly having a headache. And you just can't quite do the work that you know you're capable of, but nobody ever sees you do because you have this lingering headache because you didn't drink any water. You've only had a bunch of caffeine this morning and no food. That's not going to work either for you. All right, staying productive, scheduling breaks. There is a Pomodoro timer. And what it is, it's like 20 minutes on, 5 minutes off. And they've got apps on the phone for it, and they have this like funny little timer, like a kitchen timer, tomato looking thing. And you see, turn it on and it'll give you this selective time to be able to get something done. You create a deadline, so 20 minutes of time, bam, I've got this much time to get as much work done. I know, get a little chill break, then I can get right back into it. That's different. I would have to say that is going to be a different distraction or interruption in your workflow rather than someone coming in mid-thought saying, hey, I need you right now. It's not really that important, but I want to take up 10 minutes of your time talking. And then they leave you, and then you're like, oh, geez, where was I at? That's not productive. So again, limiting distractions, prioritizing your times, knowing that, again, later in the day is not the best, or getting those most important things done early on will be important. And unplug, please. Know when to have your email alerts on, or your text alerts on, or have your phone light up at you and do its little song and dance. Technology is great, but it definitely is costly. We see that a lot now these days, especially for having a phone and a device in our hands for the last, 15, 20 years now. We're starting to see a lot of this stuff showing up. Depression, anxiety, it's causing a lot of problems for a lot of people. Unfortunately, I'm busier than ever because people are scrolling through their news feed, checking out this random video and that random post. Provides nothing. It doesn't even provide a positive outlet at that point after you've been doing it for an hour plus, and they're not moving. So, and then they eat too much because they don't feel good about their life because the other person is showing this perfect lifestyle that they don't even really have either. So I have a lady like that down in Atlanta. She's got some of that imposter syndrome type thing going on, or a comparison to other people. Like, seriously, stop it. Like, stop. We've even talked about limiting time, setting up boundaries on our phone through the screen time app to allow for like 15 minutes of active TikToking, and then she needs to stop because it's literally not doing anything for her. All right, setting priorities. What's important? Family's super important to me. Work's super important. Everything else beyond that kind of fizzles out into its level of importance. Even social settings and stuff. I do have some social engagements that I do go to, but I'm not inviting myself just to go hang out with people on a regular basis. That's not my priority. I'm going to hang out with my family first. We do a lot of fun things. We travel a lot. We've got Disney. We've got some international travel this year. We've got sporting events, after school band and orchestra performances. We got a lot going on in our sphere. So literally that takes up a significant amount of time. Going to my buddy for a hockey game Friday night, that'll be a lot of fun. That's scheduled. It's been on the books for a while. Something to look forward to and block out. Now, Stephen Covey, he's our guy. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm sure you've certainly heard his name if you've done any type of self-help business strategy type stuff. So urgent, important. That's the thing that you do first. Important, not urgent. Block off time to schedule it so it's important. Like at the end of the week, I need to get this done. So on this day and this day and this day, I'm going to block out time to do it. Urgent but unimportant. Who else can I get to do this? That would be better off. And so understand how to delegate your work, delegate effectively, efficiently, and communicate what needs done is a super important skill to have. If you're in a managerial position and you don't know how to delegate, your fellow coworkers underneath you probably aren't going to be too fond of you. Whereas if you know how to delegate and you do it right and you give high fives, you support them and you give them the time, the energy, and the effort that they need to get the task done, then they're going to love you. You're going to be like the best manager type person they've ever had. And that's going to be way more important so that you get the urgent but unimportant stuff done, but you are not actually doing it if you were in that manager role. Neither urgent or unimportant. So block it off. Do not do it. This is not important for you to do and will just slow you down and be a big distraction in making progress. So really looking through like your daily business tasks of what you do in your everyday life, work situation. Make sure you're having these things there. Even at home, I get delegated what's urgent but unimportant to my wife a lot. So actually, scooping the dog poop It gets urgent a couple times a week. It's not important necessarily every day. We have a 2-acre yard, but at some point someone's going to step on it and track it through the house, and then it becomes very urgent, very important, and then I got more mess to clean up, and so you don't want to do that. So Josh Kaufman suggests making a list of most important tasks. MIT's. It goes back to the entrepreneur story I said earlier. Having 2 or 3 things at the start of your day that this has to get done. Put it as a Post-it note, write it on a whiteboard, tell someone about it, email someone about it, text someone about it. Make sure that those are the things that you're spending your time initially so that you can stay productive, on task, and organized. And so your list tasks should differ from your general day-to-day tasks. So you could have 2 different things that this is super important as this just needs to get done every day, and like laundry or dishes or cooking food. So prioritize efficiently. So review your goals. So we look at deadlines. We look at what happened, and you look back at how much on track are you? How well did you do that? That's what you get. Your reviews, your quarterly reviews from your superiors and stuff. They're checking in on you. How effective, efficient, and productive are you at managing your workload? If they give you check boxes and high fives and a high score, then you're managing effectively. If not, then you're going to get an earful and probably some extra stuff to manage how to do that better. Being realistic, again, going back to make sure you have enough time. If you're constantly not giving yourself enough time to perform a task, then you're going to be highly stressed and you're going to come off as underproducing. Whereas we'd much rather over-deliver by, hey, I'm going to get it done by Friday, and you get it done on Thursday or Wednesday, and you're constantly doing that. People just can look up to know that you'll get it done, and you'll be a lot better off in that specific situation too. So thank you. Would love to talk about any questions. Would love to, how would you rate your level of time management skills and balancing it in your everyday life? I'd love to hear some engagement on that.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
You said in the 3 most important things, that idea of writing down the 3 things, that it should differ from your regular to-do list of your day. And so I was wondering if you could give a little more color on how those would differ. Yeah,
definitely. So you've got, so you have your most important work things that are coming up. Like I need to do payroll, or here's this important meeting that I need to prepare for in 2 days, or I need to, I can't think of another one right off the top of my head. But the day-to-day stuff, so compare that to okay, I do have a doctor's appointment coming up that I need to make priority for, but like laundry, dishes, cooking, meals, having time to work out and be active, those are just going to be daily tasks that need to get done regardless, and not necessarily as prioritized, but they do need to have a space in there. So something that's pending, like tonight I have a doctor's appointment to do after school or something, or after work, then that's going to take up an hour or 2 of your time. So then in your mind, okay, I need to prioritize making food earlier the day before, or that's a specific leftover day, so that you can alleviate responsibilities for yourself to have dinner prepared and made for the family, and you can go do that one thing. So then you're, say, delegating to yourself tomorrow night's dinner today, right now, and that's one way to kind of prioritize between day-to-day everything and what's most important. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay, so off the cuff. Great question. Bring more. I talk to people all day, every day, so there are not too many questions that I don't think you can throw at me that I probably haven't talked about in the last week or 2. Even.
I'll just say that one of the troubles I have is just having control over my schedule.
Sure.
I'm pretty good at making lists and prioritizing and, knowing what's urgent or important, but sometimes it doesn't matter.
Sure. So it
could be work things that come up out of the blue, which doesn't happen that often, but home. My kids are in high school, so I have maybe a little more control than you do, but
Right.
there's still a lack of control.
Right. So first thing would be, who's the biggest offender? Is it work? Is it your kids? Is it your husband? Is it your dog that's super needy?
Yeah.
Who?
My kids.
It's your kids, okay. Now you have control over them because you're their parent. You gave birth to them and all that, right? And you feed them so.
Hold on a second. I'm going to call my daughter.
Well, can you pause 1 second? So, obviously you're in the parent role. You have control. I would think that this is going to be an ongoing communication that you would need to have with your daughter about framing how she approaches you. For simple things like in my house, there's a significant amount of noise at 4 p.m. Everyone's talking. Everyone just got off school. And it can be overwhelming, to say the least. Everyone's fighting for attention to get their voice heard, and they're all of that age that they're just going to be louder than each other and make more noise. So in that situation, if you want to talk and someone's already talking, then you can put your hand on like one of our arms to just note that, hey, I would like some of your attention here in a minute. I do respect that this person's talking. I'm not going to cut them off. That's a small example. So if they're constantly coming and barraging you with requests or dictating things or demands or whatever, then that's on you to start to reframe that conversation and take control back. Because your mother, and I know this from having my wife with 4 kids and seeing it live in person, but also working with a lot of 30 to 60, 70-year-old women, is that you're going to always prioritize your kids first over your own needs. And therefore, whenever they have done that in the past, you will have put whatever was on your priority list time out, and you're going to turn and focus on what their attentions are. And so this is a learned, but generally, I'll generalize this so I cover my bases, but and generally, it could be a learned experience that you are now getting confronted with even more so. Like, well, they're older. They should have more responsibility. They should know not to be so interruptive, but they still are. And this goes back like a decade or more worth of stuff that has been just the general flow of how, parenting or just whatever goes in the house. Does that make sense?
Yep, you're 100% right.
Okay. I wish I could get my wife to agree to that statement. So my clients always agree, but so that's usually what happens. Even like when in my world, when people start to change their bodies and lose weight or just be more empowered, their social setting around them, they have to like reintroduce themselves to those people that are close to them. The 5 people around you always are going to have the heaviest influence on who you are and what you do and how you act. So knowing that, but you being like, this is your breakout year, you're changing your body, your health, your habits, your routines, your lifestyle, you're going to be very disrupted to those people around you because they know you as this person. They've created relationships with you as this person, but now you're blossoming into something new, and you need to reintroduce, re-educate, re-communicate with those people what the important values are. Like, hey, I would like to spend time with you doing activity type things rather than going and sitting and eating high calorie foods. Like say with you have a time with your friends or something. Like my good friend comes over and works out with me in my backyard. That's where my barn is. That's what you get when you own a gym for a couple of years. You get a lot of equipment that you take with when you leave. And so he comes over and works out. Like, what else would we be doing, Dan? You want to just stare and play video games as 40-year-old men for like 3 hours a couple of times a week? Or do you want to go for a walk, which we totally could, but that's not necessarily what we're going to do. Or we're definitely not going to hang out at the bar. Like, I'm trying to be health conscious here, people. Like, I got an image to uphold. I don't need to be drinking a bunch of liquid calories and stuff. So Like, I'm going to work out with him. He needs it. I need it. It's a great time to communicate and talk and share and go over life. He's got 4 kids. I have 4 kids. So we're both incredibly busy. So him coming over on Thursday, Friday at 1:30 in the afternoon is our time to spend together. But we've recreated that situation where, what could have happened in the past, like hanging out with people, move it and shift it into something else, or re-educate them, or just even the framework that we're talking about being productive at work is, hey, I'm actually going to listen to what Brian said, and the first 2 hours of my day, I'm going to completely rearrange to make sure I'm as productive as I can. And your intentions are good, but everyone's looking at you like, why the first 2 hours I can't even get a hold of you? Right? And then if you didn't clearly communicate that you were trying to be more productive and get more done, they're just going to look at you different. Like, what the heck? Like, is she even doing what's she doing in her office? Like, what are he doing in his office? Like, what's going on? And they'll start questioning, what's going on, or like how productive you are. So that would be a really good, say, work environment situation is just, you're framing it so that you can be as successful, the people relating to you can be really successful, and you can be super productive and manage your time well and just not waste it, because unfortunately humans are pretty wasteful creatures if we look at ourselves. So we just waste time and energy in a lot of things. So
Thank you.
You're welcome. More questions, more thoughts? What did you take away? What is one thing that you can do to make yourself more productive?
Are we getting this done? I was just going to ask that. Do we get this presentation?
I certainly hope so. So you'll have to talk with Chris or whoever set it up. But I talk with them about like the recording and stuff. They usually have recordings, but this is in your Microsoft Teams instead of on Zoom. So I'm unfamiliar with what that actually looks like. I'm the front guy here, not the back end guy. So I'm just trying to put on a good show and make sure we get a really successful presentation you guys enjoy and take something away from. So.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate your time, your energy, and your participation. Most often I feel like I'm talking to my computer the whole time, even though there are people on the other end. So I appreciate that. There's our email, wellness_services@wellable.co. If you have questions, or certainly reach out to the contact person that set all this up for you about any type of recording or whatnot, and they'll be able to obviously answer your questions and stuff. So, all right.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Have a great day. I'll check myself out, and have a great day. Thank you.